This episode is brought to you by Amazon Video Games. Visit bit.ly/Amazon Backlog Battle, all one word, when you buy anything from Amazon so we can continue offering our back catalog of shows.
This is the Backlog Battle Podcast, episode 171.
I cussed at life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Backlog Battle Podcast. This is Alex.
And this is Anthony.
What's going on?
I'm a bit heated at the moment.
Are you?
You know I am. But anyway, we'll go into that. I am just really heated at the moment, and I kind of just want to trash on things.
Okay. That's okay. I mean, it's your show too, so I'm not going to say anything.
Well, okay, so I know we have a policy of not talking about YouTube gaming on here, but I'm going to break that policy for today.
Okay.
So when I started, and when, for those that don't know, I actually met Alex on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
When the gaming community was much smaller, correct?
Yes.
It was a very different world, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
You're laughing. Why is that?
Well, I just it's a very, you're right though, it's a very different era back then, it's just mainstream, video game acceptance is just kind of increasing a little bit more every year. But our small community and stuff is just kind of blossomed into this huge, thing. We know several people who have hit it big that, it's kind of funny to think about the YouTube community being small back then. You know what I mean?
I was top dog in those days. I was one of the big guys. That's how small it was.
Hey,
now
you know
I'm
what?
not.
You know what? I'm just saying, just to add, Games and Me was the original collaborative gaming show on YouTube.
It was?
Yeah, it was way ahead of its time.
Well, let's see. Who did you get? You had me.
Mm-hmm.
You had Retroclips. You even had Pete Dora at one point.
Well, as a guest, but not really as a collaborator.
Yeah. Who else? Jumble Junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Shintai and his group of friends, which a couple of those I will never mention again.
Yes.
Those, a few other people, another couple that I won't mention. But yeah, you were the original.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, everything blossomed out. It's funny because a lot of people give me credit. I was the one who when I blew up on YouTube, I blew up because I didn't do the angry gamer shtick. When I came on, that was still big.
Right.
I mean, everyone did that. And that it's really? You're just going to be angry and stuff? And yeah, I'm known for being angry, but I didn't cuss at games. I cussed at life.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
I think that's our title for today.
I cussed at life? Okay. Oh, shit. So there you go. But nowadays, there's a lot of good little channels. There's channels like Xander's channel and my channel, and a lot of little channels that put a lot of heart and soul, and they're authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a lot of channels that are just fucking copycats.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this channel, and mind you, it's a small channel, but it still sucks. It's called Strain 42. This motherfucker is JonTron ripoff. You've seen JonTron, I'm sure.
Is it okay if I say no?
It's okay if you say no.
Okay.
Okay, it's your average super popular video gamer channel where what they do is they talk about the game and then they go, they make some terrible joke and they show a clip of them falling on their kitchen floor or some nonsense. You know what I'm talking about?
That sounds
style?
really weird.
Oh, it's a popular style amongst a lot of video game reviewers. JonTron and all those guys do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bad.
I believe
really
you.
Bad.
Okay.
And there's a guy named String42. Now, the only props to him that I'll give is he does he tries to do a Shin Megami Tensei channel that's, gives information about like the demons and stuff. And he's a good speaker and he's a good editor, but the problem is he's not original and he's unfunny as fuck. And I've been wanting to rant about this guy on my channel. So now I'm going to rant about why can't you just do something original? Or be yourself. Because not even original.
Original is relative, I think, because sometimes... Okay,
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I know what you're going to go. Authentic, I should say.
Okay. Thank you.
Authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Authentic. Some people can do scripts. I've said this for years, and some people don't do scripts. I don't do scripts.
We don't.
This show is proof of that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I would sound like, and I'm reading something off of fucking Discord. A journey in Japan, and that's how I'd sound if I did scripts. No one wants to hear me talk like that. People want to hear me talk like this.
Trust me, I've tried to get Anthony to do promos and stuff for other podcasts. It just doesn't work if I put a script in front of his face.
No, he knows. Yeah, I can't do scripts. I'm better at just going off the cuff, and that's what I did in my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with this Strain guy is he goes off by a script and it's just droll. It's the worst channel I've seen in a long fucking time.
Yeah.
It's really bad. So that was my anger. Strain42 sucks, son.
I
triggered people.
On that note, this is actually the first episode we're going to be posting on YouTube. So, those hate comments or something
hate comments.
Jeez. So, yes, I forgot to tell you that this was actually going to be the first episode we're going to be posting on YouTube.
That's okay.
Holy shit.
That's okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about that for a moment, though.
Okay.
Okay. So now that I've got my rant out of the way, let's talk about that. We should talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Posting on YouTube.
Yeah. So do you want me to talk about it? Do you want to
I want you to talk about it. I want you to talk about it.
Okay.
As to why we're doing it. Because let's be fair, we both have been adamantly against it for a long time.
Yeah.
And we've been publicly adamantly against it. But why did we finally decide to do it?
So, there's a few things, right? So one thing, we want to make sure that the podcast actually, gets more people in. And we felt like YouTube, even though part of it is kind of, is filled with vitriol and hate and all that stuff. And I'm pretty damn sure we're going to get, a lot of, thumbs down and, bad comments and stuff on this particular video. So if you're trying to do it for the first time, well, congratulations. Maybe somebody will read it, maybe somebody won't. Thank you. That being said, though, to be a little bit serious here, there is a value for us to actually be on YouTube. And actually, it happened the other day, Anthony. It happened right after we actually started talking about the idea of putting the podcast on YouTube.
Continue.
So I was trying to, do my workouts around the house, clean the house and all that stuff. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I was in the car listening to the podcast, after doing groceries and stuff. I want to listen to the podcast in my living room or, I don't know, maybe, in my computer room or something like that, or maybe a public space, right? Because I have the PS4 there. I have, I have a PlayStation TV, even though I don't think that has YouTube at all. I have a PS3, but none of them can play the podcast. None.
Oh,
yeah.
Good point.
None of them. So I have to basically I don't know, hook up my phone to, if I have an Apple TV, maybe, unreliably stream it, in my household internet, which has very unreliable Wi-Fi sometimes. Keyword
unreliable, because Wi-Fi is unreliable no matter where you go.
Yes.
Fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, total fact. So I was I kind of got sad because I'm man, what'd be really cool is if I can listen to the goddamn show on the podcast, in my living room while I'm working on, some, backlog battle stuff on my TV or on my home theater system in my living room. And I was that's a great use case for being on YouTube. So, yeah. So,
isn't there another reason though? There's another reason too that sparked this.
yeah, I think so. I mean, other than like getting more people to listen to the show.
You had an encounter with some new people that you tried to get to listen to the show. That was part of it as well.
Oh yeah. Thank you for reminding me. So
yeah,
I should talk about that. So last weekend, which would be like I think 2 weekends ago, I actually attended the Twitch PDX meetup group. And what's really cool is that, you know, like it's a bunch of people who want to get started on Twitch or actually like do podcasts and stuff. So it was a great way to kind of network with people and even talk about video games, right? And you know, Anthony, you would have been proud of me because like I brought my Switch and I instantly became the most popular kid in town.
Oh
yeah, man, that happened. So a lot of people wanted to talk to me. They're like, "How is the Switch?" But you know, long story short, I basically sold them the idea of like, hey, you know what? If you want to hear me more, you know, because, you know, not to be all egotistical, but who wouldn't want to listen to me?
Who wants to listen to us?
Yes.
Kill cats?
Yeah, that's true. Who wants to But like, so, you know, I told them like, yeah, well, I have a podcast. I have the Backlog Battle podcast with, you know, with myself and Anthony. And they were like, are you on YouTube? 5 people asked me if we were on YouTube. And I was like, actually, no, we're not on YouTube, but we're on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. And they said, all right, well, I'll follow you on Twitter. And I'm like, we have a website. They're like, oh, cool. So I was like, okay, we have to seriously, you know, like bring some of our episodes like on YouTube now. Like now, I don't know how it's going to happen, but yes, this is going to be the first episode that's actually on YouTube. And for the people there who are actually listening on YouTube, we do want to kind of wave hi and say, you know, virtual hi. And I know you guys can't see us and stuff, but more likely
YouTube people.
Yeah. Hello, YouTube people. And yeah, so you're going to be seeing like a lot of the future episodes, you know, pop up on YouTube, you know, pretty much on the same day as the actual episode, you know, kind of comes out. So
I have to say someone to a friend of mine and listener to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Down Phoenix, we're finally on YouTube. You can stop.
Yeah, you can stop asking us.
I love the guy, but you can stop now.
Yeah, you can stop asking for it. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
But yeah, like, so, you know, but we also want to bring in people, right? Like, it's cool that YouTube exists and stuff, but, you know, that can only go so far. Like, for that particular use case in the living room, yeah, it makes sense. But if you want to listen to the rest of the episodes, I mean, maybe we'll repost them on YouTube, maybe we won't. I haven't actually personally decided, you know, whether we go back on the back catalog.
My thing is, for now, I think it's best for us just to post new episodes.
Okay. There you go.
And you know, the rest of the content, though, is available in iTunes, the other 100 and so episodes. So
yeah, the other 150. And then if you want the rest of the episodes to listen to, I mean, it's on our website.
The entire library is on the website.
Yeah, the entire library. So however big that's going to be, it's all going to be on the website.
For those that don't know, that library extends back to February of 2014. So 3 fucking years.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and just to kind of, and actually, you know, I know we talked a lot about YouTube and the podcast and stuff, and I know some of you guys don't care about it, but I'll end it with this. You know, a lot of people have also asked us if there was an easier way to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play. Because like, you know, a lot of them are, you know, because when I was talking to those people and stuff like that, they were like, oh, well, you know, like I have to search for it and stuff. And I said, yeah, just Google it. And I felt like that was too much work. So what we've actually done is on the right side of the website, there are now direct links so that you can subscribe to our podcast on Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher.
Nice.
So you just need to really remember the website, which is mybacklogbbattle.tv.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, man, I felt like, you know, we actually took a lot of time to kind of publicize what's going on with the show, but I know you guys have been listening to this for the game, so
we'll leave it at this. On YouTube, subscribe to the Backlog Battle podcast channel.
Mm-hmm. Which is youtube.com/mybacklogbbattle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And while you do that, avoid Strain 42, the end.
Okay. All right.
Don't worry, Magus Rant on my channel coming up. Plug.
Oh, dang. Okay. All right.
Oh, God, I'm going to dissect that.
If you want the URL for, you know what? I'm going to stop. If you listen to all the way to the end of the episode, you know that Magus's channel or Anthony's channel is all the way at the end, so you'll know it. Anyways,
listen to the end.
Yes. Anyways, video games.
Yay.
Video games.
So let's talk about, can I talk first? Can I go first?
Sure. Go ahead.
Because you know what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So you got me a review copy.
Yeah.
Of a game as of this recording that's not out, but it comes out next week.
By the time this is out, it'll probably be out.
Yeah. And it's not Injustice 2, folks. I have to pull my pre-order that for financial reasons, but it is an Atlas game. We've had plenty of those lately.
Yeah.
You know, Alex, we both had the glory that is Persona 5. Alex had Caligula's whatever.
The Caligula effect.
Yeah. Does it still have anything to do with Caligula?
Okay, I played for like another hour, and I'm still at school, and I'm still trying to find people. I don't know. I haven't found Caligula. I haven't found the purpose of the game yet, so we'll see.
Okay.
I mean, I have found the purpose of the game, but anyways.
Okay, for me, I got this fucking tongue twister of a motherfucking game. It is Utah Wadra Rumono Mask of Deception.
I think you missed a letter there.
I did, but whatever. Utawara Ramono Mask of Deception. Anyway.
Utaware Rumono.
Okay, I'm not even going to try. But
okay.
It's a fucked up name, but Alex sent me the trailer, and I watched the trailer. What did I get out of this game from the trailer before I go into what I played? Well, it looked like, this looks like some sort of feudal Japan game set in like the Romance of the Three Kingdoms or some shit with some fantastical elements and an SRPG and scantily clad women, just like Dynasty Warriors, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got from it. Then I played the motherfucker. I played this bitch, and what happened was the first thing I saw was a strange vortex, and I can't even describe the vortex, and computer lingo, countdowns and system errors and system shutdowns and resets, and I'm like, what the fuck? And system awakening. Yes, folks, system awakening.
Okay. So
I awakened, and I was in a little tent, and of course, the first person to tend to me was a cutesy little anime girl.
Okay.
With her eyes were really fucking big. Well, they all are, but this one was like really fucking big. Her eyes, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So she woke me up, and let's be honest. From what I gathered from the trailer, this was an SRPG. I found out that this is a hybrid game. This is an SRPG and a visual novel.
Interesting.
So yes, I am playing a visual novel at the moment.
Okay.
And basically what happened was I ran away from the tent, got chased by a fucking praying mantis monster, ran into the cave. Praying mantis tried to kill me in the cave, but I got saved by a blob. And then the blob grew ahead and then tried to talk to me. The little anime girl saved me, and then we went back to the tent. The end.
I mean, the end as in, like, you know, how far you played, right?
Yeah, how far I played.
I was like, did you finish the game already? That sounds short.
A couple things to say about the game, though. I haven't really played a whole lot of it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm playing that other Atlas game that came out back in April that I should have beaten already.
Yeah.
The really good Atlas game that came out in April.
Did I tell you that we're almost
yeah,
done
I know.
Yeah, fuck
you. Fuck you, Alex. Fuck you. Okay. Anyway, while my friend is being braggadocious at the moment,
nice word.
I will tell you more.
I appreciate that word.
I know. It's been used a lot in the media from Mr. Trump. We won't go there, though.
Let's not go there, please.
Let's not go there. So anyway, Mask of Deception. We'll call it that for simplicity's sakes.
Yes, please.
Things. Voice acting is completely in Japanese. Just wanted to let you know.
Okay.
Presentation's a little weird because there are moments where it does that weird Japanese thing where they show the character portrait and then they talk, and there's a lot of that.
I mean, isn't that just like a visual novel thing, though?
Yeah, that's like a visual novel thing. Okay. I mean, they do that in it's a good example, Persona 3 Portable, that style. You know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah, they do that, and then there are some times with real in-game graphics. This does look like, I'll be honest, graphically, the character models are not very detailed. Even backgrounds are not very detailed. This is a budget title, first and foremost.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how much the game is, but I say budget title in the terms of, there wasn't a lot of money that went into it. You could tell. Right. This, again, and also keep in mind, this is part of a series of visual novels, and most of the games have been previously just visual novels as opposed to having SRPG elements. Hopefully next week I can report to you about the SRPG elements, because I will warn people about this game. One thing, if you are in the camp of your game starting quick and right away, you will not like this game. What I described to you took place over the course of an hour. Took place over the course of 1 hour. And I said I got chased by a fucking praying mantis. I didn't actually get chased. The game cutscene chased me. So
okay.
So yeah, I haven't fought anything.
So okay, so before you continue on, and I'm sorry to cut you off, aren't there two games? Like there's a PS4 game and a Vita game?
There's a Vita version, yes.
Mm-hmm. Is it the same game?
I believe so.
Okay, because I saw because right now you're reviewing like Mask of Deception. I thought the Vita version was called Mask of Truth or something.
I try to look up information on the series, and it's very sparse. It's very, very sparse.
Okay.
Let me take a look at this. I mean, the Wikipedia page is just about the whole series. There's just one page on it. There's not multiple pages about the different games.
Wow, that's weird.
I mean, Mask of Deception has been out since September 24th, 2015. We're barely getting it now. And it is... I'm taking a look here. Just tell me what the fucking games are. I don't care.
Oh, okay. So check this out. I got a clarification because I actually looked at the press release. So Mask of Deception is what's coming out.
Yeah, that's what I got. Yeah.
Mask of Truth is actually coming out in the fall. So there's a follow-up to this, it seems like.
Well, I'll let you know if I want the follow-up. I honestly don't know what to make of this fucking game. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't even give it a score.
I mean, you haven't even played like the actual SRPG part. But you know what? I'm hoping that when you actually get to play the SRPG part, that you'll actually enjoy the game a little bit more. Because for me, we talked about Caligula Effect like a few weeks ago and stuff. It was a little bit difficult to get into because Persona 5 was still looming, right? But a little bit far removed from Persona 5 and just kind of playing Caligula Effect, I was kind of like, all right, so there are merits to this battle system. The storyline might go in a very interesting direction, so I actually continued playing it. But I get you. It's really difficult to be focused on this game because Persona 5 is still around.
Yeah, I know. It is. This is developed by Steam, though.
Who?
And they did develop a few games I have liked, such as Riviera, The Promised Land, which is Riviera is part of that weird Department Heaven series.
I've heard about Department Heaven. That's a weird fucking series.
Yeah, it's... so Department Heaven... Department Heaven, oh fuck.
It's so weird.
It's a weird series. Okay, so they release different episodes in the series just randomly. And the way it works is if you release episode 1, which is Riviera, episode 2 will be more advanced, but then they skip to episode 9, which is more advanced, but then they'll do episode 8, which is not as advanced as 9, but advanced, you know what I mean, in gameplay mechanics. It's Jesus. Such a weird system.
So wait, so are you talking about like within the game itself?
No, within that series.
Oh.
So, for example, one of the most famous episode of that series, and this is a game you and I used to talk a lot back in our Games and Me's days, is Nights in the Nightmare. Remember that?
Yes. Oh,
okay.
Oh, okay. I remember the series now.
Yeah. So there was Riviera, Yggdra Union, Nights in the Nightmare, and Gungnir. And I bought Gungnir years ago when it came out in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they haven't really worked on the series in a long time. But they're still around because they're working on this fucking Mask of Deception shit.
I did not know they're the same developers. That's interesting.
Yeah. Those weren't bad games. And Nights in the Nightmare was a pretty cool game.
Yeah, the concept is very unique.
I mean, I've played some of these games. Hell, they developed Treasure Hunter G, which was the last RPG published by Squaresoft for Nintendo for almost a decade.
Yeah.
It was published just a few months before Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
And such. So there's that. So they have a few. I mean, if you're heavy into niche gaming, their titles.
Yeah.
So Sting's not a bad company. A bad developer, I should say, because they get published by other companies a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this. I'll give this game more of a chance. It is weird, though. It is a very weird game. And if you're not into the anime thing, this game's probably not for you either.
Okay.
Because it's very heavy into the anime stuff.
Jeez. Okay.
The look of it. You know what, though, is interesting? I'll tell you this about that first hour. The game seemed to take itself pretty seriously, though. Which is strange because there's always like a quirkiness or, like I was even expecting when the main character ran into the female character,
mm-hmm.
there would be some sort of like, him accidentally touching her breast or something. You know how they do that.
I mean, even like Trails of Cold Steel did it.
Oh, yeah. And that chick holds a grudge for you for a long time.
Yeah.
And you didn't mean to do it. Fuck.
Yeah.
God damn.
But to illustrate your point, that was one example.
Yeah. I just, like I said, it's interesting, but we'll see. It's just, again, you have Persona 5, which I think is safe to say has elevated the JRPG.
Mm-hmm.
And with that out, that's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just so hard to go back to this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a bad game, though. Well, I can't even say that. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I want to get to the SRPG stuff.
Okay.
So.
Because I have a strong feeling it's going to be super deep.
It probably will. Most SRPGs are pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that I've ever played that wasn't exactly the deepest thing was Cardia. Do you remember Cardia?
I think so. Is that like the one where you're playing with tarot cards?
Yeah, kind of. The big thing about Cardia, though, was that when it came out in about 99
mm-hmm.
and whatnot, they were Amano. Yoshitaka Amano actually did the artwork for
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they were really pushing that for the marketing, even here in the U.S. for that game.
I remember.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a pretty cool... Yeah, you're right. You used cards, magical
mm-hmm.
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that one wasn't it was fun, but it wasn't overly complex. It was easy to get into. And the SRPG genre, to be fair, as much as I like it, it's not a genre I would recommend for beginner gamers.
Right.
I mean, most games are complex as shit for those series, so...
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How do you feel? Do you agree? You're not a fan of the genre, though.
I used to actually own that game.
What, Cardia?
Yeah.
Oh. Why don't you own it anymore?
Because our SRPG.
Oh.
I mean, there you go.
Gosh.
I tried because, like you said, like it got sold saying like, "Hey, Yoshitaka Amano did the artwork. Cool, let me buy it." Oh fuck, I can't play this genre. Sold it. I mean, it's pretty much what happened.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I borrowed it from some kid at school.
Uh-huh.
I think I tried to steal it from him because he was a prick. But
okay.
But yeah, but anyway, Mask of Deception, which we'll call, I will honestly play more of this.
Okay.
But I just feel bad because there's this little game called Persona 5.
It's tough. I can't blame you. And, like I keep saying in the podcast over and over for the past several years and stuff, we have to be true to what we're interested in, or else we're not going to be fair about the games that we review.
And I'm just being straight up. Look, this from what I saw of it, it's got an interesting premise. I want to know what the fuck system error is. I am interested in that aspect of the game. Mm-hmm. I want to know why there was computer speak and then all of a sudden you're in a fantasy world. That has me hooked up a little bit.
Okay.
But we'll see how the characterization is and all that.
Yeah. Totally.
Because that's all important. What do you have to talk about this week?
Oh boy.
I don't know.
No PS4 games.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because we don't normally make lists of what we want to talk about on the show. And then I looked at my list and I'm like, these things that I really want to talk about. So do you remember back in the day when, we still had Gamer Horizon and stuff? We did written reviews and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Alien Colonial Marines.
It's still online somewhere. And mind you, don't confuse that website with a band called Gamer Horizon. Apparently, whoever owns the Gamer Horizon product now has not trademarked the name. So, somebody just jacked it. Anyway,
okay.
Just saying, I was Googling for Gamer Horizon and I was like, wow, there's a band called Gamer Horizon? I'm weird.
Curious. I'm looking it up.
Are you? Yeah. So I looked at, I didn't really look at all my old reviews, but, my girlfriend and I were watching a lot of Thimbleweed Park. And have you heard of that game, by the way?
What the fuck is that?
Thimbleweed Park is actually a Kickstarted video game that Ron Gilbert, the creator of Maniac Mansion and Monkey Island, he basically had it kickstarted because he wanted to make an adventure game that, he wanted to make another adventure game, a LucasArts style adventure game. And he did. And it's called Thimbleweed Park, which is kind of a weird mix of the usual comedy that you would expect Ron Gilbert to have and X-Files. Yeah, it's actually pretty good if you haven't checked it out.
Let's back up.
Okay.
A second. The last couple weeks, you've been talking a lot about adventure games.
Mm-hmm.
Sexy Brutal. Yeah. Sexy Brutal, whatever, the Edith Finch game, and now this one.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually a very good point.
Yeah, a lot of adventure games lately for you.
Mm-hmm. So
I want to ask you this real quick.
Okay.
You were kind of so-so on Sexy Brutal. We know you loved Edith Finch.
Mm-hmm.
We know you absolutely loved that game because you gave it one of your rare 5 out of 5s.
Yeah.
How does this game stack up to those two?
This new one? Oh, no, I didn't. I'm not talking about Thimbleweed Park.
Oh.
Yeah.
My bad. Okay.
I'm just kind of segueing on it, the reason why I started playing this game. Remember, I told you, no PS4 games. It's not
okay.
And I guess by proxy I should have said...
Well, you have Steam.
Yeah, by proxy I should have said not Steam, not PC either.
What the fuck, Alex?
Yeah, I went backwards. And so, that being said, let me segue this. So, Thimbleweed Park is Ron Gilbert's latest game, but this game was allegedly going to kind of change the way that adventure games are played. Now, I looked at all our old reviews of the game, including the ones that are not from me. Some people said it was a platformer puzzler. I couldn't disagree more many years later. A lot of people said that, it's fun for a few rounds. I disagree. So, in a way, I kind of went back to this game and said, let's see how this game holds up outside of that zeitgeist of when this game came out. And I'm talking about The Cave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You should have this on PlayStation Plus. It was actually a free game at one point.
I think I do, yes.
Yeah. So, in case you guys don't know what the hell The Cave is, it's about 7 different characters, and they are all exploring this one cave for various purposes, because they heard that this cave actually grants, their heart's desires, their wishes and stuff. But you basically learn later on that the cave has its own ideas of what that means, right? And there are good and bad endings for the cave, which are really easy to do. But this is unique because it doesn't control like a point and click adventure game. It plays like a regular game where you use the left stick, you move the character, and all sorts of things, right?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So each of the 7 characters actually have a different ability. For example, you get to play as the twins, and they have the ability to actually mentally project themselves doing an action that they were doing before, but you can actually move the twins out of the way. So for example, let's say there's a door on the ground, right? But literally right next to it, there's a switch. So what I would do in order to get through that door on the ground is I'll have the twins actually like pull the lever and then use their power and have the actual twins jump into the door, while the actual like ghostly versions of themselves still holding the switch for like a few seconds.
Neat. Neat. Is this on PS3?
Oh yeah, it's not just on PS3. I should have probably cleared that, but it's also on Steam as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything's on Steam though.
Well, yeah. But also, since this is a Double Fine developed game, I mean, it has to be on PC as well, I suppose.
Ew.
What?
I'm not a fan of Double Fine.
Oh, not a lot of people are, but yeah. So this is developed by Double Fine, and Ron Gilbert directed it. So, anyways, do you remember anything about this game? Did you even play it?
No, I never played it.
Okay.
I got a fuck ton of games, dude, from PS Plus that I have never touched.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, so let me set the scene for you. So I told you kind of like the general story, right? Mm-hmm. And some powers and stuff that everybody has like some sort of important powers, right? But you can only pick 3 people out of the 7 to take in. So basically, like, each of them have different powers, and you have to creatively use their different powers in order to solve several of the puzzles in the game.
Right.
And also, what's interesting, too, is that certain characters are actually able to access different parts of the cave because just by the virtue of the fact that they're present in the party. You know,
right.
For example, the monk will be able to access, the highest, reaches of this mountain, for example. And I'm being vague on purpose. The twins can access their house. Why their house is in the cave, we don't know, but it's there. And a lot of it has something, and the thing that's kind of different between this game and most adventure games is that, while most adventure games are point and click, right? Mm-hmm. There is some minor degree of platforming that happens here. Now, are you going to call it a platformer? Absolutely not. It's not even that.
Okay.
Although, if you look at reviews of the cave back in the day, they called it a puzzle platformer.
Why?
I don't know. Even I called it that. I was like, what were you thinking? Like, this is far and away not even a platformer. But, it is what it is, I guess. So, what is my train of thought? Man, I already lost my train of thought.
You know what game? I cannot think of the name of it. We used to love it. This is because you're using puzzle and platformer. What was that fucking game we used to love on the DS where the bottom part was the puzzler and then the other part you were a British guy?
You know what's funny? As you were describing it, it popped into my brain and then it disappeared and now it's back. It's called Henry Hatsworth.
Oh, that game was so fun.
I still have my copy.
I have mine somewhere. That was a fun... Don't you agree, though? That was a nice little game.
That's fantastic. Mind you, in case people don't know this, Henry Hatsworth and the Puzzling Adventure is the full title, is made by Tiburon Studios, the guys who brought you Madden.
And it's an EA game, and it's the furthest from any EA game you can get.
Mm-hmm. And an EA game that actually does not suck. It's actually really, really good.
And it has no microtransactions. The whole game there.
Well, it was released during the DS era, so I mean,
Yeah, but 2009, they were still trying to do that shit.
That's true. But anyway, so going back to this, so there's a lot of, so you're probably wondering, like, all right, well, if it's not a platformer, because I mean the platforming is basic jumping and climbing, it's not really complicated, right? How does it deal with one of the most important aspects of adventure games, which is inventory? Well, it doesn't have inventory. So, so each character can only carry one item at a time. So it literally is like, well, if you want to use that fire extinguisher over there, you have to drop whatever you're holding now, you know? And there's no real, you know, way around it, right? There's a little bit of back and forth here and there, but nothing that is too, how should I put this, backtracky. Because that was actually the one big complaint that this game had, is that there was a lot of backtracking. I'm like, well, it's relative to how you place your characters in the area, I feel. And also I feel like it's not it's not the bad kind of backtracking that this game had, you know? So in a way, like, so basically, like, when I played this game, I didn't think of it as like, oh, this is a platformer or some sort of adventure, like real adventure game, right? Like, we're not talking like point and click, we're talking about like Uncharted style or Prince of Persia 2D style. I was thinking more like, well, this is Ron Gilbert's take on what if he tried to modernize, you know, adventure games, you know? And for the most part, I feel like he almost succeeded in this one. Now, in terms of performance, there were a few, you know, this was on the PS3. I played this on PS3.
Wait a second. I want to know something.
Okay.
Why did you use the word almost?
Almost. And this is kind of like where I'm going to get at. Okay. The game is conducive to a lot of replay value. So you basically play through it because all 7 different people actually have different endings. They have bad endings and they have good endings. In fact, this is a game where if you try to play through it once and you continue, you cannot save in a different slot. Like you can't save scum and just be like, oh, well, I didn't like that ending, let me reload the game. No. The game will basically like save over that, so that you have to start over from the beginning, right? Now, here's the problem, though. So I told you earlier that there are some areas of the cave that are exclusive to certain people, right? Like, you know, but in between those sections, there are constant areas that don't change. So guess what that means? That means you have to replay those areas every single time you want to replay the game, and no changes actually happen to them. So
I should see if I have this game.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do, but
you should try it out. I don't want to kind of take up too much of the conversation, but like, you know, so that is basically the almost part of this conversation, is that if they actually tried to figure out a way to kind of shake up the gameplay a little bit, like when you're replaying it, I mean, come on, the game does keep track of whether or not you probably played through a game or rather through like the whole story, you know, using like collectibles. Like, they do keep track of that stuff. I wish there was a way for them to kind of swap out different sections, like the in-between sections that are not character specific, and change them up a little bit so that there is replay value, right? Also, I mentioned that you have 7 characters and you can only take 3 at a time. That means if you want to get all 7 people's stories, you have to play the game 3 times, with the last time taking 2 other characters that you've already taken through before. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you have to go through those guys' levels as well, in addition to the levels that are already, you know, in the game, that are like completely baked into the game, you know? So that's really it, though. Like, that's the only thing that's really kind of stopping me from, like, you know, from highly like giving like a 5, but it's such a kind of obvious kind of oversight that I feel like, you know, if they iterated upon this and made the Cave 2, like, I think they would have probably, like, you know, it probably would have been awesome.
It's probably as likely as a Henry Hatsworth sequel.
Yeah.
I hate to say that.
I know but it's so true, though. It's so true.
Let me ask you a question. Why do games like this and then Henry's Hatsworth, I know they're both very different games, why do they not get, you know, why is not their innovation just recognized and moved upon on? You know what I mean? They don't get sequels.
It's because like a lot of people look at it and say like, well, you know, I'm not gonna like it, and it's just easily dismissed, right? Like it's not a thing that you can pimp at GameStop, if you will, you know. But also remember,
it doesn't have a big bro guy in heavy armor with a gun.
But also, like, if you take a look at when it came out, right, and where it came out, there was really no way to kind of publicize this game. Like, what are you going to do? The GameStop guy's going to tell you to, like, buy, like, a gift card, so, you know, a PSN card so you can buy the cave? No, that's not going to work, you know? But, you know, like, it's got a niche, right? And I feel like the cave is like, and let me talk about a few things here too. The animation and the graphics are pretty good, right? The voice acting is really fantastic. There's only really one voice actor, which is the cave itself. It's a talking cave, and that's excellent. He sets the tone like extremely well, and you know, like it's to me, like, this game, if it was released today, I think people would probably find a bit more appreciation for it, because if you remember, during that time, wasn't that game released like right around like either before or after, you know, The Walking Dead season 1?
Yeah, it was released after Walking Dead season 1.
Yeah, so it was a good crack at it, but I feel like now there's even a bigger audience for adventure games, and I feel like that's a game that would have probably profited a lot more.
Well, look at the adventure game landscape. Now, the adventure game landscape is interesting because let me break it down. From what I understand, stuff like Day of the Tentacle and stuff like this, they're one game, right? Mm-hmm. Now we have this adventure game model that, you know, Telltale had basically come up with, this episodic thing. Mm-hmm. And let's be fair, they're not the only adventure games that have followed this episodic model,
right?
You know, there was a sequel to an older one called The Longest Journey. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's The Longest Journey, and then there was a sequel to that, and then the sequel ended on a cliffhanger. So they attempted to do a follow-up, but guess what they did? Episodic.
I thought Dreamfall originally came out for the original Xbox, and then it went episodic.
No, you're right. There was The Longest Journey, Dreamfall, The Longest Journey, and then
Dreamfall Chronicles.
Dreamfall Chapters, The Longest Journey.
Okay.
And it was released between October 2014 and April of last year.
Jesus, that's quite a wide spread.
But, and this is interesting, apparently there's going to be a console release of these.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess, you know, even older ones are going the episodic route.
Yeah, that's pretty strange.
Because The Longest Journey came out in 99, so kind of like around the time that the adventure game was, you know, that kind of era when it was starting to fade away a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, It's interesting, though, to see them follow this sort of model, and the cave goes by the old model, like you know, Maniac Mansion and things like that. So
right, and yeah, like if you just happen to be lucky to be a PlayStation Plus member when the cave is out, and you did kind of like say like, hey, I'm gonna download it, you should try it out, because like it's certainly different than most adventure games, and you know, and I know that. It's kind of funny because you started a trend last week by actually like rating a game from so many years ago, but I'm thinking of giving the cave a 4.
What game did I rate last week?
Portrait of Ruin.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. I forgot that got a 5 out of 5 from me, and you giving this a 4 out of 5, which works.
Yeah, there you go. And, you know, and the sad part about this, Anthony, is that finishing the cave does not actually eliminate any games on my backlog, because it was already eliminated to begin with.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah. You just replayed a game you beat on your backlog.
Yeah.
You could put another line across it.
Right. It counts as 2, right?
It counts as 2.
It's finished twice. Speaking of a game that... you know, like, was kind of released maybe shortly after this era or right around here. You've been playing, like, a game that that I guess it's technically the newest Vanillaware game, even though, of course, Odin Sphere Leif Thrasir was came out last year.
Yeah, I do want to go back to that, by the way, after I get Persona and The Witcher out of the way.
Yeah. Oh, well, good luck.
Good luck with that. The two longest games in existence at the moment. Single-player games, that Final Fantasy XIV doesn't count.
Yeah. That's
like the 14 days I put into it and like the 200 days Alex put into it of his life.
Hey, I haven't touched Final Fantasy XIV in about 2 months, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, earlier I mentioned to my friend Down Phoenix, right? I forgot to tell you. Even though I don't have a subscription, he bought some stuff off of Amazon, and he got some fucking stuff for Final Fantasy XIV and gave it to me. So I got a cloud mount and stuff.
What?
Yeah.
That's
I got
cool.
a cloud. Yeah. Do you have that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got the cloud mount.
Yeah. There's you want to, it was a short-term promo that Amazon had where if you buy any video game stuff from Amazon that totals about $20 minimum, that they'll give you a code for those things. So.
Yeah. And I got those things. So it's cool.
Cool. They're supposed to tease, Stormblood. And actually, I don't know if you took a look at all that stuff you got, but
I don't have a subscription at the moment.
Dang. So the staff that you got is actually a Dragoon Lance.
Ooh, I wonder how good it is though.
It's a glamour. So it's just there. Yeah. The entire outfit and for those people who don't know, what this is basically a free giveaway, and this is supposed to tease the new expansion, Stormblood, for Final Fantasy XIV. The entire set, the lance, the cloud mount, and the actual outfit basically turns into Son Goku.
What the fuck?
Not from Dragon Ball. I know people.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean.
It frustrates me every time. What, Dragon Ball? No.
I just said, what the fuck, son?
Journey to the West basically is the origin of that storyline and stuff. And basically, if you guys have played Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Son is kind of like a variation, a play on that.
Okay. I need to get literary right now. Can I get literary for a moment?
Sure.
Okay. There are, and this is interesting because a lot of video games are based off of 3 of these novels, okay?
Okay.
In Eastern tradition, there are the 4 great Chinese novels, okay? Journey to the West is one of them. Water Margin is another. We'll get to that in a second. Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Yep.
We know where that comes from. Koei loves that series. And then Dream of the Red Chamber, which of all of them, I don't think has any video games based off of them. Now, the one people are probably asking about, Journey to the West, of course, is the monkey, the monkey hero, which Dragon Ball is based off and numerous other things. So there's that. Water Margin, you know about Water Margin, right?
Actually, I don't.
Okay, Water Margin is about a man who gathers the 108 bandits to rebel against the Great Empire. What game does that sound like?
A lot of like Persona 5?
No, it's Suikoden.
Oh.
Suikoden
I haven't played that game. What are you talking about?
But a lot of our audience has. So Suikoden is very heavily inspired by Water Margin. Okay. Because in Suikoden, you gather the 108 stars of destiny to rebel against an evil empire. Okay. So it's a variation of that idea.
All right.
So a lot of your video games are based off of 3 of those novels. Who gives a shit about Dream of the Red Chamber, though?
Okay.
Just saying.
Yeah. But let's kind of backpedal here because we kind of really went on a crazy tangent. What I'm trying to basically, get you to say is that you've been playing a Vanillaware game that we haven't really talked about in a long time. It came out for the PS3 and the Vita, and that's Dragon's Crown.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how is that? I actually saw you playing that about a couple of days ago, and I was like, what? You're playing Dragon's Crown? What the fuck's going on here?
It's a great Vita game. You could just pick it up and play it.
Oh, you were in the Vita. Okay.
Yeah, I was on the Vita. Okay. Yeah, I have it on PS3, but it's great on the Vita. Mm-hmm. Now, I tell you this. It's gorgeous as all hell.
Oh, of course. I mean, those that artwork and how it's animated is really smooth. Like, I remember talking to so many people about it, just how like the artwork is, I've always had an admiration for Vanillaware's artwork. George Kamitani's artwork. I want to say like he's also the president and the artist that actually like works on all of these. It's really crazy to think about that.
Well, remember, one of the earliest games he did art for was one of my favorite beat-em-ups of all time.
Which is?
And that Dungeons and Dragons games. The two Dungeons and Dragons arcade games. Yeah.
Did not know
I am
that.
just making sure that I got my facts right.
Okay.
Because when Dragon's Crown was in development so many years ago, it was inspired by, it was inspired as a follow-up, a spiritual successor to the Dungeons and Dragons game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Kamitani worked on both on the Dungeons and Dragons arcade games.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And you could tell that Dragon's Crown is a spiritual successor to that game in a lot of ways. I don't know if you agree with that.
It certainly feels like it, right? Like, and that's kind of like the crazy part about Dragon's Crown is that, it's got the inspirations from that series, but also like it's continuing a long-standing tradition of Vanillaware games having fantastic animation and just really good freaking gameplay. And the fact, I feel like the thing that makes this game really special, though, is the fact that finally you can kind of like play with other people, and play this game, like playing it 2 players and stuff. It's and for the longest time we've been kind of like struggling with like finding a good 2-player beat 'em up, and then Dragon's Crown came up, and we were like, this is awesome. Yeah.
Well, there was Castle Crashers a few years back. That was pretty good.
That's the thing though. Like that is a pretty good game, but the art style didn't really kind of hook me. Like, if anything, I actually finished it like probably for the first time about a year ago.
Castle Crashers? No shit.
Yeah, no shit.
I like that game, but again, the Japanese ones just have a quirkiness to them that when Americans try to be quirky, it just fails.
Yeah.
Is that not me? And it look, I'm a vulgar person, so I'm not condemning vulgar stuff. But when they try to be quirky, they mistake that with vulgarness. And there's an enemy that farts at you in Castle Crashers or something.
Right.
So there's just shit like that. And I like the game, but it doesn't have the magic like a lot of those Capcom beat 'em ups or Dragon's Crown.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the reason why like I totally like I glossed over it, like it didn't have that magic of the Japanese beat 'em ups for me.
And you play any of these Vanillaware games, whether it's Muramasa or Grim Grimoire or any of these, there's a sense of wonder to Vanillaware games because of that art style. Now, some people don't like this art style, particularly Dragon's Crown had a lot of controversy.
Yeah, it sure did.
Now, let me ask you this. A few years back, does this controversy bother you at all? Because it doesn't bother me.
No.
And let me tell you why. And I am not anti-feministic or anything like that, but I will say this. Males get sexually idealized as well as do females. It's a part of human nature. You have a big, buff, ripped guy wearing a barbarian cloth. We've seen that a lot. Don't tell me we haven't. And I'm not saying there's not, any misogynistic tendencies in any fiction. There is. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
And there's no sexist. But I'm saying what they did in Dragon's Crown was exaggerations because that's the style. And if you look at one of the characters, the elf ranger.
Yeah.
Even though she's wearing a pair of shorts, she's more conservative than the other character, than the sorceress or the Amazon.
Right.
And I can't complain because I'm playing as the fucking Amazon. So,
okay.
But I will say this game, I like this game a lot. The only thing that I still have a little qualm with it is sometimes it gets a little too chaotic. Sometimes.
What do you mean?
There's sometimes I'm a Smash Brothers player, so I shouldn't be complaining about this. But sometimes the visuals get overwhelming that you lose where you're at. Particularly, mostly when you have 4 players involved. And like you say you have like the wizard and he's casting a bunch of spells. That tends to happen.
I see.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
But other than that, I think this game's awesome. It doesn't really have much of a narrative to it.
Mm-hmm.
But Odin Sphere did. I played that last summer and I beat one of the stories. I got to get back to that game, like I said earlier. That game had a pretty good narrative, but this one not too much. Yeah. But I don't think that's why you play Dragon's Crown.
Yeah.
You play Dragon's Crown because it looks fucking awesome. It's a cool little world you could go to. And I'm going to give it a score because I have played a lot of this game. I have like 30 hours clocked into it. Not from this recent, but just in total. I'd give it a 5 out of 5 because it's perfect for the Vita.
Jesus, you're just throwing around those 5 out of 5s like Oprah.
Well, it's a good game. It's a solid game. You know what? I don't give a lot of 5 out of 5s because, Mask of Deception, I don't think that's going to be a 5 out of 5 at this point. I'll be honest with you. No offense. Thank you for the review copy, Atlas. But it's just not a 5 out of 5. I can tell already.
Okay.
I don't know. But, Dragon's Crown is a lot of fun, and I know you like that game a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. True story, by the way. Like, when I hooked up the PS3 and stuff, I actually discovered that it's still installed on my hard drive.
You should play it.
Yeah. And until recently, just because I had to make room for Caligula Effect, I had to delete my copy of Dragon's Crown on the Vita.
Oh
yeah,
no.
I mean to reinstall it again because after us talking about it right now, I'm kind of like, man, I want to fucking play that game again.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, and I do eventually someday want to beat it with all the characters. That's hard.
Yes, yeah. Ugh, I haven't. That's actually in my backlog. I haven't actually beaten that game once.
Dragon's Crown?
Yeah,
I haven't either.
But there's a part in that game that gets really super tough.
Yeah, I went to a boss and I was a little underleveled.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who still play it though. I notice a lot of people still jump into the game, which is cool.
That's cool.
So I was pretty happy about that. So it's I don't know. It's a game that we should play together sometime.
Okay.
Can we do that?
If we could figure out a time and a place, yeah, I think so.
Get rid of Caligula Effect.
Okay. But I thought it was cross-play as well, right? Like on the PS3 and the Vita?
I know it's cross-play in the sense that you can upload a save from one or the other. I don't know if it's cross-play, though.
Yeah, I know it was cross-save. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out.
You know what, though? I'll be honest with you, man. If they did a re-release of that on PS4, I'd jump on it.
Wow.
I would. Would you?
I don't know. I didn't jump on the bandwagon with Odin Sphere. I'm not really quite sure if I would.
I like that. Odin Sphere looks fucking gorgeous too.
Sure.
Well, look. Here's the difference between Odin Sphere and Dragon's Crown. I think Dragon's Crown is already in high definition. Odin Sphere wasn't.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah,
and that game looks that I wonder what Vanillaware is working on next. Do you know?
Well, I mean, they worked on. Sadly, they worked on Odin Sphere, and that was their last thing, right? But
they are working on this. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim.
You said words that don't make sense to me, but okay.
It's a mecha game.
What? That's weird.
But it's 2D. It's a 2D mecha game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being published by Atlas, and it's called 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim.
Okay, cool.
It's mechas the game follows the themes of surging despair and the demise of everyday life following a destructive catastrophe.
Okay.
And it's still directed by George Kamatani, so it's gonna look cool as shit.
Well, I would expect it so. I mean, it is Vanillaware. It is his company.
And they make games that their games look better than a lot of games that cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and their games only cost $1 million.
Watch, this is actually just as expensive.
This will probably be $1 million.
Yeah,
and it's
something.
And it is for PS4 and Vita. So.
Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll take a look. We'll see it like at some point, but I'm just kind of like, whatever. Like it'll come out.
It was announced at Tokyo Game Show 2015.
Oh yeah, that's still a while back. Well, wait, 2015?
Yeah, Tokyo Game Show 2015.
Jesus.
But remember, they did that with Dragon's Crown. Remember, we saw one picture of Dragon's Crown, that nothing for 2 years, and then all of a sudden, it's coming out in like a month.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what else you been playing?
Before we move on, I want to update everybody as to the status of this long-running series. The latest version of the series is Romance of the Three Kingdoms 13, and it was released in 2016 for the PS4.
They released really?
Yeah.
I thought they were done.
No.
I thought they were just all up, like, fuck this shit, let's do some Dynasty Warriors.
They've been going on for years, and also there's a Switch version coming out this year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been playing this?
No. I was just giving a... Well, you mentioned it earlier, so that's why I was kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to give an update. So... Yeah. No, hell no. No, I haven't been. No, I haven't touched that since the Super Nintendo, man.
I played one of the PS2 ones, and I got bored. I know I'm not a sophisticated gamer. Well, I didn't. Man, I got bored.
This is like a hardcore turn-based strategy game, though. Like, not only are the battles turn-based, the whole fucking, world simulation is turn-based as well. It's kind of crazy.
Turn-based dinners, dude.
Yeah. No kidding.
Take a bite out of your turkey leg. Fuck.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, you've been kind of dabbling in medieval stuff, but I've been dabbling in medieval fantasy stuff myself, kind of like the same as you. But in another game that we haven't spoken of in a very long time. Until, mind you, a listener of ours actually brought up that he was playing this 2 weekends ago. And I was like, you know what? I should probably check it out.
I know what you're talking about, good sir. It's a game that I like, too.
Yeah. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning.
All right. How does this bitch hold up?
Let's get this out of the way. Its character creator is worse than Mass Effect Andromeda. There, I said it. There. Okay, let's get that shit out of the way, because I'm pretty sure people are going to ask me that. But that being said, at least the characters that they give you for presets are pretty. They're beautiful. They're not like ugly and grotesque and all that stuff, okay? That being said, I'm not too far in the game. Like, I just got to the first town and stuff, and I'm just kind of like feeling out the controls again. Remember when I told you a few weeks ago that I was playing Dragon Age Inquisition, and I basically said, you know what? I'm going to try something that I haven't tried when I played it the first time. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I'm doing right now in Kingdoms of Amalur, because because I was a human in my previous playthrough. Mind you, never finished this game. Right. I basically came back to it and said, you know what? I'm going to try to be one of the elven people. So I have this kind of dark elf looking character, and I'm playing with her. Female, of course.
Yeah, have task.
Focused on stealth and magic. And it's still too early, right? But, guess what I discovered recently? And it's sad to realize that this guy was actually in this game and not realizing it when it was back then. But remember the guy, the Fate Weaver, the guy with like the big beard who was a drunkard as well, who basically said like, you don't have a fate, you don't have a destiny, blah, blah, blah. And he was drunk. And we even accused him as drunk, and he was like, and we said like, you're drunk, and he said, well, I am, but that hasn't stopped me from predicting people's futures.
Greatest conversation ever.
Yes, it's actually it actually like endeared me to the game again. That one conversation was like, you know what? Yeah, good on you, Kingdoms of Amalur. That was actually a pretty good conversation. Do you know who that actor was? The voice actor?
No clue.
It's the same guy who voice acted Solidus Snake in Metal Gear Solid 2.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, John Segan. He actually passed away 2 weekends ago.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So that's the only reason why I knew that Agarth, the guy I was talking about in Kingdoms of Amalur, is the same dude who voice acted, Solidus Snake. And I was like, man, if I only knew beforehand, you know?
Oh no, that's quite the coincidence.
No, yeah, yeah. And the thing is, like, dude, I didn't even know that he passed away, and I was like, oh my god, it's him, you know? So, like, I played through it again, and in case people don't know, one really cool thing, and this is an action RPG. It's Western. It's, you know, it's made by I'm forgetting the 3 important people that actually worked on this game.
McFarlane, R.A. Salvatore, and that baseball guy.
No. It's R.A. Salvatore for the story. And you mentioned who else?
Todd McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane. He worked on this. The other guy that worked on this game is Ken Rolston.
Oh.
He was actually responsible for a lot of the design of the Elder Scrolls games all the way up until Oblivion. Yeah, so that's why there was a big hullabaloo about this, because not only was this releasing, you know, the next project by Ken Rolston, but Skyrim was looming around the corner. You know, like it just came out like when people were still thinking Skyrim, but this is a Ken Rolston game. This is an action RPG. It's a huge world. It's a huge action RPG. But the really awesome thing about the gameplay of this game is that you could basically create the character and the build that you want. And we're talking about, like, you know, stylish action game type combos that you could do without too many complicated, like, button presses, right? And that was the value of this game. Now, here's the thing. I've been playing this game on the PS3, and yes, you know, the quality of it hasn't... I mean, it's been kind of like this... I feel really weird about this, because I loved the game when I played it. And then playing it again, it was kind of like, you know, there's some kind of rough edges to this game. You know, like I would normally, like, you know, like my feelings back then, I'd probably put, like, my rating back then as like a 5, right? But now I'm kind of like struggling, like thinking of what I should rate this game, because it hasn't really aged gracefully. You know, a lot of the graphics are serviceable. You know, some of the things that it does are kind of revolutionary. The UI kind of sucks. I mean, it's just, you know, it's like, it's doable, it's usable, but it's by no means like attractive. You know, there are many other user interfaces that have been really good, but also, like, you know, it's just really, really strange. Like, just, it doesn't, in some ways it feels modern, but in some ways it's not, you know? And, you know, and that's kind of like where I'm at with Kingdoms of Amalur. It's that, you know, and also at the end of the day, it doesn't feel as character heavy in terms of its development than what I thought it was. You know, like, it's very plot driven, and that's something that I've grown to really realize and dislike over time, is that if there is a lot of plot driven development but there's not a lot of character development, I just kind of zone out. And that's what Kingdoms of Amalur is kind of doing to me. You know, like, it's great that it's got, like, great character customization, and, you know, you can do all these combos and stuff, but I'm not that interested at all in continuing the game past where I am.
That's the fallibility of the Western RPG, I think. Because the Western RPG, with the few exceptions, of course, you know, earlier BioWare games, The Witcher 3, of course, things like that.
Yeah.
They're not character driven; they're plot driven.
Yeah.
A lot of them are plot driven, and even some of them have attempted to do the BioWare formula. Remember that spy role-playing game, Alpha Protocol?
Yeah.
That was plot-driven all the way. But it tried to be a BioWare game, and it just seems to me Western developers don't understand how to write plot character-driven games. They really don't. And I'm not saying there's no character-driven fucking Western games by any means. You know what I mean? There are. I mean, I could name a couple on the top of my head. Uncharted 4, for example. That's character driven.
Yeah.
But, and not an RPG, but I can. But they just don't, a lot of them just don't seem to get it.
Right.
So I think some Western not Western gamers still think as video games as just video games. And that mentality is fine. But when you do a RPG, I think the story has to be there for the RPG. And I don't care if you're Western, Japanese, Korean, Middle Eastern, I don't give a shit what RPG you are. You have to have a strong story and a strong cast of characters because that's what defines an RPG. Now, I've always said the difference between you and I is you've always been a bit more story and I've been a bit more game driven, right? But the one thing I agree for the most part with RPGs, they have to be story driven. I think we can agree on that. I do have one exception, that's Pokemon, but Pokemon serves a greater purpose.
Okay.
So look, Pokemon has always had multiplayer features built into it. That's crucial to the way that game's played, trading and that social element. You know what I mean? And that's encouraged even in the single player element. And ever since the advent of online, have been even heavier toted onto, current incarnations. So with the exception of Pokemon, most RPGs should have a story.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I'm trying to remember what my mindset was back then, right? And I mean, maybe it's just, the kind of strong feelings we had against Skyrim that really just immediately made me put this above that game, right? But many years removed, I'm looking at this game and I'm kind of thinking in terms of character development, this game isn't really any different than Skyrim, and it's really sad because R.A. Salvatore's name was all over this, and you would think that he would get it right?
And I'm a fan of his novels, and and that guy does do character development. If you ever read his Dark Elf books, there's a lot of character development.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one character, I'll give you an example of how good he is. There's a character in his books that they think he dies, but he gets taken to hell, right? For 6 years and tortured.
Right.
And then they rescue him. And what R.A. Salvatore does is he doesn't just make him all right. He actually he suffers from PTSD. He becomes an alcoholic and then he has to redeem himself. And it takes the course of 4 of these novels for that character to redeem himself. And even at that, he's carrying the scars of what happened to him.
Yeah.
So, but that's not in Kingdoms of Amalur, folks.
Yeah. Somehow it's not in there. Yeah.
Scarred barbarians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's it's so, let's kind of be clear here, though. There are really redeeming aspects of this game. The gameplay is fantastic. The action gameplay, the stealth, it's all in there. It's all really, really good.
So it holds up. That holds up after 5 years.
That holds up. But some of the sound effects that they chose, it does not. Absolutely does not. For example, when you're trying to hit somebody with a dagger, it feels like you're punching a punching bag. And I'm that's not the kind of sound effect you expect when you're slicing somebody's skin off or something. It's not supposed to sound like that, but it does. And, and that's kind of the voice acting is fantastic, but the sound effects, the sound design, it's kind of lacking. There are some moments there where it's okay, where did this sound design go? Because the voice acting is fantastic, but the sounds are just kind of okay, these aren't impactful, And
it's they came from a fucking toy from the dollar store.
Something like that, right? and that to me saddens me because it's realizing that this game isn't as good as what I thought it was is just kind of it takes the game down a notch for me. And again, while I would have given this originally a 5, right now I'm only going to give it a 3 because it is a good game, but it really isn't as good as even when it first came out, because as standards change over time, this doesn't feel like it could hold up to any other adventure game, right? Well, now, I'm not saying that this should beat the fuck out of Witcher 3 because, oh, heaven forbid, trying to compare anything to The Witcher 3 or better yet, Horizon Zero Dawn is a fool's errand. No.
Yeah.
Not talking about that.
Well, let's look at the landscape now and then. What I mean, we're just coming off probably the best first quarter in gaming history.
Yeah.
And I will have anyone challenge me to that. This is the best. I'm going to declare it. I have been gaming for nearly 30 years. And usually maybe the last decade, first quarters have become increasingly more important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then really the downtime has been in summer, but even at that, we've gotten a few surprises in summer.
Right.
But now I will go off on a limb and say this may be the best first quarter, if not one of the best quarters of gaming we have seen ever. Hands down. Argue that shit with me.
I almost want to say it's the first, like, half. Because, because, I mean, the first quarter is basically going to end in, like, the end of March. That doesn't include Persona 5.
Okay.
And it doesn't include... Yeah, and it doesn't include Prey.
Prey and Injustice 2 is getting really good reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's that. I mean, for fuck's sakes, we have a really good... These last 6 months have not slowed down. There's always been one big release.
Yeah.
One or the other. I mean, we got bombarded in January right away, and now we're in fucking June. You argue with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have... What do we have in June?
Well, that I don't know.
We have Stormblood.
Well, Stormblood is coming, yeah.
So, I mean, you cannot argue with me. I'm just simply stating a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the landscape in 2012 was a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then, as much as I hated to admit it at that times, Japanese developers were struggling at that time. I don't think so anymore after this first quarter.
Yeah.
But
first half,
yeah, with games like Yakuza 0 and fucking Persona 5. But back then, we were still getting, we got what? But we were barely getting a Tales game for the first time in how many years?
Mm-hmm.
Mass Effect 3 was on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
We had Final Fantasy 13 2. We had Soul Calibur 5. Those were the big releases back then, folks.
Yeah.
And Kingdoms of Amalur.
Yeah. Ugh.
And we came off a Zelda game too. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
In its own way. And again, we could have that Zelda discussion another time. My point is that we look at what it was 5 years ago, to your mindset, Alex, to what it is now.
Yeah.
It's understandable why you feel about this game.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You could play Kingdoms of Amalur, right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or you could play Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
You could play Persona 5. You could play Yakuza 0. You could play Zelda Breath of the Wild. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or you could be playing Mass Effect Andromeda. Oh, wait, no, my bad.
Now, like I said, like, I'm not trying to compare Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning to any of these games, right? It's just, I'm comparing it to the current standard. Like, we're talking about, like, our expectations of what an open world game should be, right? And I feel like it's missing, polish in several different places. And while we were okay with it back then, there's a much tighter focus on polish these days because of how game budgets are. And,
exactly.
And it kind of shows that Kings of Amalur, while, it had nailed certain things really good, it was still lacking in several different areas, which is why a lot of people, kind of glossed over it and just moved on, So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that game. I will still play it, admittedly.
I want to ask you some hyperbole real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Say Kingdoms of Amalur was developed in the last few years and was released today. Do you think that this would be a different game than the one that we got?
That's difficult to say because, I mean, I only have this game to base it off of, and I don't really think it would make any difference. Because, I mean, it's kind of like asking, like, well, if this movie or so was made today, but with the same problems that it did, because that's kind of like where I'm coming from, is that, they were lacking in a few areas. And if you get the exact same team and you have them make it like a few years ago and release it today, they're still going to have those shortcomings if the skill set of those people are kind of the same.
That makes sense.
Okay. So, yeah, so the hypothetical doesn't work with me, I guess.
I know, but I like asking that
Mm-hmm.
And I think the saddest thing about Kingdoms of Amalur, though, is what happened to that studio.
Yeah.
I mean, that news story overtook that game.
Yeah.
I mean, they even had the governor of Rhode Island had a fucking press conference about that game.
Yeah.
Remember that fiasco? That's how I know it was like about fraud or some shit, but who knows?
It was Kurt Schilling's company. So in case people are wondering who the baseball player was, it was Kurt Schilling. And yes, he's still in the news these days. I don't know why, but he's still around. That being said, though, this is another victim of the EA Partners program.
Let's talk about that for a second. Explain what the EA Partners program is for some of those people.
So the EA Partners program is basically this program where they'll sign up third-party developers who need a publisher, and then they'll publish the game. The problem with the EA Partners program is they kind of do a really shit job of marketing the game alongside other EA products. So it's like a redheaded stepchild, you know. So this is obviously one of the EA Partners games. Alice the Madness Returns is one of them, and Shadows of the Damned is another.
I like Shadows of the Damned.
That one's really good.
That's a really good game.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, like it suffered because it was part of that program. Because it's like, oh look, you know, it's not a Madden. Let's not put any marketing in it. I'm like, screw you guys.
It's a weird Japanese game where a talking gun makes a bunch of dick jokes.
Yeah. Well,
that's what that game is. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of weird Japanese, I don't know how to segue this because that was a weird segue out of it. You've also been playing Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse? What?
Yes, sir. Well, I've been playing that because now that we have all the shows up, go around maybe 2014 or so, and I beat that game straight without any, like cheats or anything. I did state save. Sorry, forgive me for using a modern feature, but okay. But I beat it with a la carte. Okay. Now I want to beat it with either the witch or the other dude, the thief.
Interesting.
Because there's multiple endings. There's 4 endings, right? Mm-hmm. If I understand, there's the a la carte ending, the witch ending, the thief ending, and then you could choose not to ally yourself with any of them.
Yeah. I actually... you know what's interesting is I was actually thinking about this the other day. I actually beat the game in all 4 endings.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It took a long-ass time, and also shows how much better of a gamer I was back when I was a kid.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's a hard game.
It is.
There's a piece in there that's really challenging where blocks are just falling, and you have to platform up, or else if you fall... You know what piece I'm talking about. It's towards the end of the game. Mm-hmm. That part's really hard, so... So, I don't know. But I don't know which one I want to beat it with. Which one do you think I should play as, though? Well, I did play the game.
Tell me, who your options are again?
Okay, I'm not going with a la carte because I already beat the game with him.
Okay.
So, I have the witch, the thief, and all by myself as Trevor Belmont.
Grant, the thief, would probably be the next easiest. So I say go with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you: isn't there a thing where the Japanese version is easier than the NES, or is it the opposite?
I want to say it's the opposite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Japanese games were normally harder. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I think, in my opinion, of the 3 Castlevanias, that's the best one on the NES. Mm-hmm. And I think it's Castlevania 1, and then fuck Castlevania 2.
Okay.
No, that game traumatized me as a child. It made me feel stupid. Mm-hmm. Because, and I realized I wasn't stupid. It just had a shitty translation, and it made you fucking grind for stupid shit that you shouldn't have been grinding for.
Yeah.
I mean, that game made me feel dumb as a kid.
Yeah.
And then there was a kid in school that bragged, "Oh, I beat Castlevania 2." Well, he fucking bought a Nintendo Power.
Well,
rich
there
bastard.
You go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was trying to beat it some legitimate way, so.
I don't want to kind of go back to our conversation about what's coming in June, but this is coming in June. Valkyria Revolution.
Ooh, okay. And Tekken 7.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Don't tell me what's out for July.
I can tell you what's out in August.
Okay, what's out in August?
Yakuza Kiwami, the remake of the first game. Yeah. More money thrown out the window.
Oh God!
If you order it from Amazon, it's actually in a steelbook.
Oh,
and actually, if I would want to remind people that you could use our website mybacklogbattle.tv and then click on the Amazon link on the right side, or use bit.ly/Amazon Backlog Battle and buy Yakuza Kiwami on the Amazon store. It's only $30.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's only $30, and you get 20% off if you're an Amazon Prime member. So you do the math. Oh, it's $23.99 with the 20% off. So
nice.
Yeah,
nice. I'll buy it digitally.
It's a good fucking deal, though. Oh my God.
I know, but I like having games digitally.
Sure.
I know.
Yeah.
What you been doing on your Switch?
What's that?
What you been doing on your Switch?
Yeah, I did. Which is still hanging around. I played a lot of Mario Kart a few weekends ago with the people from the Twitch PDX. Actually, that thing lasted for 4 hours.
Holy shit!
Yeah, just playing Mario Kart. It's really cool. Like again, I wanted to kind of prove the idea of being able to just bring my Switch anywhere and stuff. And that's definitely proof in the pudding that you could just totally bust out like the Switch and people want to play Mario Kart wherever. They didn't even care about like how uncomfortable one of the Joy-Cons was. They just want to play Mario Kart.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
I'm probably gonna do it again like next meetup. So
are Joy-Cons hard to find?
Dude, it's attached to your console.
No. It's a second Joy-Con.
That's also attached to your console. What are you talking about?
No. I mean a second one with two, so you could do 4-player. That's what I meant.
Oh, no, it's pretty easy these days.
How are Switches doing to find? Still hard?
Yes, the actual Switch consoles are still very hard to find. The accessories have eased up, I think.
Okay.
It's actually a lot. You can actually walk up to like any store now and actually buy them. I want to say like within the next week or so, as of this recording, you might find one at Toys R Us, like an actual Switch console.
I don't have a Toys R Us in my town anymore.
Oh, dang. So, yeah.
But it would be nice to play on my Switch Castlevania 3 one of these days without having to pay for it.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that last week with like the virtual console stuff. So, but I did want to talk about one game, and and this is something that you'll probably surprise you. I'll give you a hint. It's another PS3 game.
Trails of Cold Steel?
No, actually, I haven't touched that game in a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing though. It's just I've been moving around, like checking out my backlog and stuff, seeing what grabs me.
That's what I've been doing too. That's how Dragon's Crown grabbed me by the face.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so pretty.
It's interesting that you wound up with that. I was like, wow, okay.
It's a good game though, man.
Yeah.
And it's a Vita game.
Yeah.
But what's this PS3 game?
Beyond Two Souls. Wow. You were quiet the whole time. I was like, holy shit. I didn't even know how you would react to that.
Oh, fuck.
Now, what were your opinions of this game? Because you played it, right?
I went into a gaming drought in 2013, and it's the game that brought me back into gaming.
That's very interesting. Okay.
But you know what happened though? I played better games like Pokemon X and Y and Zelda Link Between Worlds and things like that.
But Beyond Two Souls got you back. That's hilarious. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, Beyond Two Souls. I remember beating that game, and we'll see how the robot game is. I'm actually kind of excited for the robot game.
For Detroit? Okay.
Yeah, Detroit. Right. It was one of my E3 games from last year, dude.
Okay,
remember?
All right, yeah. Dude, I don't know, man. I think David Cage has lost me because I'm playing through Beyond Two Souls, and that narrative really fucking blows. Like, it's like, dude, like they give you a timeline of all the scenes that you played. The fucking prologue is on the very right of the goddamn timeline. What is good? And then you basically bounce back and forth between, present, past. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell's going on, man. I'm like so confused. I've gotten to the part where you had to go down into the factory or this base or installation, and you basically had to turn off this thing because these bad guys were coming out of this portal thing. You remember that part?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, that's the last thing that I played. And then right after that, I went on. I wound up being on a train, and I'm like, and like, it's so weird. Like, who in the right mind thought, well, this will make things interesting, herp derp? But I'm like, no, it's fucking jarring as shit.
I read a lot of books, and I'm actually reading Stephen King's It right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm bringing this up for a purpose. There's a lot of books, and I write in this manner too for my creative fiction, where they don't go linear in time.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I just read Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or whatnot.
Yeah, I haven't read that book.
Okay, but books like that and they go to the present, to the past, the present, to the past in scenes or chapters, right? Like Beyond Two Souls does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do this because their story, even though there's a chronological disorder going on, they still telling a linear story. Certain things are revealed in the past. Certain things are revealed in the present. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, that narrative can work really well, and it may not work really well. Now, it's been a long time since I played Beyond Two Souls. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember if that narrative worked, but I remember like some of the time shifts were clunky. So when you do a time shift example, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, in It, they'll have an event that parallels an event that happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll switch between those two events. Stephen King will do that. Whereas in Beyond, if I remember correctly, the time shifts did not parallel what was going on in the present or the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because in It, you have the cohesiveness of the narrative, but in Beyond Two Souls, you did it. It was just like, oh, she's all of a sudden running away in a train. Oh, she's with some Native Americans. Oh, she's a kid again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it just seems too sporadic where the events, they're all part of the same story, but the events don't parallel. They don't transition correctly. You don't have the right transitions.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And is that how you feel about Beyond Two Souls? It doesn't have those parallels.
Yeah, it doesn't. And it's, when they do try to clue that something that you've learned before is, really important, which is why it's important for this scene, it doesn't make itself apparent because there's so many scenes that just, like, I guess the best way that I can describe it, Anthony, is like the game doesn't allow you to breathe. Like it's shifting scenes so fast that before you could even digest what's going on, it's already left it.
Right.
And to me, that's a huge problem. And I feel like it's a problem because this game is trying to be more than just an adventure game, that it's, kind of falling all over itself.
Well, I agree. And let's go back a few years before that game and look at Heavy Rain for a second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say what you will about Heavy Rain's shitty voice acting, and sometimes strange narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what that game has over Beyond, though? It had cohesiveness.
It had heart and cohesiveness, I agree.
Yeah, because in Heavy Rain, it did a non-linear technique. You didn't go back in time. Well, you did in one sequence, okay?
Right.
But you switched between all the different characters, and in that game it was very cohesive. Boom, switch to this guy, to the FBI agent who was addicted to drugs or whatever, then to the dad, and then to that reporter, and then to the detective, and then boom, 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 and then that's why the plot twist was so effective in that game. That game to me has one of the best plot twists in any game, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
And Heavy Rain is flawed, but I think it has a better narrative than Beyond.
Oh, yeah, easily.
I mean, the thing that keeps Heavy Rain down is just problems in the presentation. I mean, that voice acting is bad at times. But with that said, it's a better told story, and I think I remember more of Heavy Rain than I do Beyond. To be honest,
if you'd ask me what the hell's going on Beyond Two Souls, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Okay,
I wouldn't. Like, it's really, really difficult.
I just remember certain things, like you can, I don't know, have sex with the guy.
What?
And in Beyond Two Souls, I remember that.
I guess I'm not that in that part yet.
Yeah, I'm a spoiler alert. Sorry, but I don't think you're really caring about that right now.
No, I haven't. And I had just merely mentioned it because I remember you talking about it. And to be quite honest, though, don't you feel that the more David Cage makes games, the less important or the less, you know, like they become in terms of quality? Because to me, like the very best, like, you know, David Cage game is still Indigo Prophecy.
Well, let's look at it this way. I never played Indigo Prophecy, but I did play Heavy Rain.
Okay.
And it seems like he took a step forward in Beyond Two Souls, but took a step back. Because I'll be honest, the presentation in Beyond Two Souls, I mean, they got Alan Page, William Dafoe, and even the sub-characters are better are much better actors than the ones in Heavy Rain.
Right, right.
I mean, it's fucking Alan Page and fucking Dafoe, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But it's funny because Heavy Rain, on the other terms, you know, doesn't have that quality of voice acting by any means.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does have is it has a more cohesive and memorable storyline.
Right.
Whereas Beyond Two Souls has better presentation, but not so much on, you know, the other aspect, the storytelling itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny because I might tackle Beyond Two Souls now because I have it on PS Now.
Wow. Okay.
But I do want to revisit Heavy Rain down the line, though. Yeah. Seriously. Because I really liked Heavy Rain. You know,
I would want to check out Indigo Prophecy again just for shits and giggles.
You should.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, all three of those games have puppet sex scenes. So,
oh God, man, I almost fell in my yoga ball, you asshole. Oh, God,
puppet sex scenes, yeah,
Jesus. Yeah. Ugh. Okay.
So, are we ending this on a downer?
No, we have questions.
Oh, let's answer a question then.
Last week I forgot a question, so this week we're gonna do I'm sorry, we're still gonna stick with like one question a week, but this one is actually from Eric, and he writes, "Who is your number one JRPG waifu?"
What the fuck? I hate that term.
It's a question that was asked. You have to answer it now.
Waifu. Oh God. I mean, I'm not. Oh fuck me, Christ! God damn it! I have JRPG chicks that are hot, but I don't know about waifu, and I have to be very careful with JRPG chicks. Here's why.
Okay.
Because Japanese don't care about age limits, folks.
Yes, but it's okay because we're adults. Like, I mean, you're an adult. I'm an adult. We can, you know. So the only thing that we'll be in trouble for is if we pick somebody underage. No, I'm just kidding. You can pick whatever the fuck you want. I'm not going to limit you.
Well, I don't know. I don't.
I can tell you who mine is. Mine is easy.
Who's your waifu?
Sadayo Kawakami, Persona 5.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't expand on it, but you know why. You know exactly why I picked her, because, you know, she's a very awesome character. The way that she starts her I'm not going to expand on spoiled Persona 5, right? But she's a very kind character, often overworked, very hardworking. She has a pure heart, and man, she could be wild. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just going to stop it right there.
I don't know. Shit.
Dude, we have to answer this question. This was a question actually asked by one of our listeners.
But I don't look at things in waifu. I'll just go with hottest.
Okay.
Fuck. You know what? If I had to, but I'd have competition for this, okay? Is Ellie from Xenogears.
Okay. All right.
But she has some issues, though. She gets addicted to drugs. She's already spoken for with Faye, you know.
Okay.
And they've been spoken for in many lifetimes. Okay. So, all right. But yeah, if I had to, a waifu.
There you go. You answered the question. Congratulations.
Yay.
You have to expect these questions to pop up at some point.
I know.
It's not all going to be intellectual questions and stuff.
don't mind it, just don't like that term waifu.
Well, there you go. Somebody asked it. And hopefully, Eric, we answered your question. And again, if you guys have any questions, comments, or suggestions about the show, email us at podcast@mybacklogbattle.tv. So, all right, well, Anthony, well, do you have anything else to say before we go?
Keep an eye on the next couple weeks. We have some surprises coming up that are going to kick ass. So.
Hopefully it pans out, but definitely we have some surprises here and there. And remember our website, mybacklogbattle.tv. We have all the episodes of the podcast there and links to where you can subscribe to our show, including our YouTube channel. We have a link right there as well. So until next week, we'll see you guys later. Happy gaming. Thanks for listening to the Backlog Battle Podcast. Don't forget to email us at podcast@mybacklogbattle.tv if you've got any questions, comments, or suggestions from today's show. You can find Anthony on Twitter at twitter.com/magusx1 and on YouTube at youtube.com/magusx1. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/mybacklogbattle or on Facebook at facebook.com/mybacklogbattle. The intro and outro song is credited to Laszlo and is titled Imaginary Friends. It is available everywhere where music is sold. On behalf of Anthony, this is Alex saying take care and enjoy your week.